Okay, good morning. It's 11 o'clock, and I'd like to call the October 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Civil Service Commission to order. We have one item on the agenda, and that's the certification of the list for position police officer. I'll turn it over to staff.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a lot to report. Obviously, we're kind of getting into this process where this is a cycle that's repeating a few times a year, which we think is a good thing, given the hiring climate, and it allows folks to kind of get through the process in a much more timely manner. So Tracy distributed the EEO statistics, and from an applicant pool of 43, you can see how folks opted to participate and were successful in participating through the required phases of the process. I will point out that the applications received since the last time we called a deadline for testing. So some of those applications were submitted a couple of months ago. So I don't think it's completely surprising to see that we had significantly more applications submitted than we actually had people who were still interested and or available to participate in this testing cycle. We've already got applicants submitted for the next testing cycle. So you'll see that the list before you is a list of 4. There were actually, I believe, 7 candidates who were eligible for the interview process, and a couple of them opted not to proceed at that point. So out of 5 interviews conducted last week, 4 of those individuals are being recommended for the hiring list. And if you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
So right now our staffing, we're authorized 85. Our current sworn staffing is 77. We have 1 person in the academy in Des Moines right now. Actually, today it's 78. We had a new person start today from the last list. From the last list, we have 3 other conditional offers out. We're just waiting to establish a start date with them, so that if and when they start, they would be going to the January academy. So that would put us at 81. And now you can see we have a list of 4. Oftentimes things come up in the background just because they're on the list. They might not accept a job, or something may come up, but we're going to get closer. I really appreciate, I say this every time, but I appreciate what HR has done with our continuous application process, because in years past, you would fill out a job interest form and just wait and wait. And so sometimes we think, we got 43, and some people say, well, we take applications all the time, and then time passes before we test. Some of those people lose interest. Well, the same thing was happening when we were doing job interest, probably at a higher rate. And because of the frequency in which we're able to do the testing process, I think it keeps people more interested. It certainly makes it an easier process to establish a list quickly. They're pretty nimble. HR is nimble. It used to be you show up and test this date, take it or leave it. And now they've been very flexible, which has helped. I still think we're one of the few agencies around that does it that way, and I think that puts us at an advantage. So I'm really happy with the work they have done, and thanks again for that.
Sure.
But you think 43, we only got 4 off of that, but that's, in my experience, that's kind of how it works. You have 100, 50 will show up to test, 50 will fit. It seems like cuts in half every single step of the process. So, and again, we are certainly not lowering our standards. We're very, very selective on who we put on the list. So I think we don't put people on the list who we're not excited about. So
Yeah, I think the other thing that we're still continuing to see with regard to the post-test, that is a tripping point for some of our candidates, but we do continue to see those candidates who are very close to passing, who don't successfully make it their first time, and they are reapplying right away, coming back and getting a little bit more engaged, a little bit more confident with the practice test, the study materials. I think we're hanging on to them, and they're maintaining an interest, and we were not seeing that before when we're testing once a year. It's kind of an opportunity that's lost, but we're kind of able to maintain engagement and interest with some folks that are just struggling with various pieces of the test. So we see some folks who come back and try again, and we think that that's really encouraging.
That's a great point. In years past, if you just barely failed the post, that would be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, this could have been my only opportunity for the next year or 2 years. Now, HR will have a conversation with them and say, hey, you're going to have another chance very soon. So,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's hugely beneficial. Cool. I motion to certify.
Well, I do got one question. Is there
Oh.
certificate, any of the officers certified currently?
The first 2 on the list are certified.
Okay.
One's from Cedar Falls and the other is from Fairfield.
Okay.
Yep. So, and that's a great question. The reason we were kind of hustling with, it hasn't been that long since we were sitting here,
Yeah.
was to try, if we had some people who were not certified, meaning they needed to go to the academy, we're hopeful to get them into the January academy that the 3 from the last list are going to be going to. I think we currently have 5 spots reserved for that, and it looks like, I think we were able to get it done in time, depending on how long backgrounds and all the other stuff. But we should be able to get any non-certified into the January academy, which was the goal.
Okay. Any changes in recruitment?
Well,
Oh,
the
actually,
one
yeah.
massive change we did have, the contract that allowed me to hire certified people up to step 3 in our pay scale, which would be the equivalent of 18 months experience. And then they were in that step until they would have normally progressed to step 4, which would be 36 months. So they were kind of stuck in that step. The city and the union got together and agreed to allow me to hire and stick someone in that pay scale, anywhere in the pay scale, up to the top step, which would be a 10-year officer. And if they come in lower than that, they would progress as normally. They would only have to spend the amount of, not from starting from 0.
Gotcha.
So that is a massive change.
Wait, so prior to that, if you hired someone from another service that came in with 10 years of experience from that, wherever they were at before, you could only hire them in at the pay scale of 18 months experience?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I could see that being a barrier.
Yes, so people would certainly be taking a pay cut,
Yeah.
especially someone with experience. So now our step, it's step 6, I think, is our top step, and that's
Correct.
$89,000. So that means we can compete with
Right.
pretty much any agency in the state for top step officers. And that certainly was a barrier, would have been a barrier to me.
Yeah.
If I had 10 years experience and was considering more opportunity, but I don't want to take a significant pay cut.
Right.
So.
Right. And that was something that required agreement. It was something that we worked through and resolved with the union. So there's certainly, I think, the union is feeling positive about it. The city is feeling positive about it. The timing of it, we wanted to get it done so that it would be applicable for this cycle. But because we were kind of working up against, our intentions of getting folks into that January academy, if possible, we didn't have a lot of time for that to really kind of get out there for folks to really consider that. So I don't think that we hopefully have really seen the full potential of what that change might have done for us, because we needed to get this testing cycle up and done so that we could get folks processed for the January academy. So we'll see. But it was really only resolved a couple of weeks before the application deadline for this cycle.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite able to take advantage of,
Right.
of that, but I think going forward, I think that'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
Very good. Any more questions or discussion?
None from me.
Okay, is there a motion?
I motion to certify.
I second it. All in favor, specify aye.
Aye.
No opposed? The motion does pass. Any other discussion or?
Thank you.
Okay.
Sign away.
Is there a motion to close or adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
And I second it. And that concludes the meeting.